the Saturday Q&A. This is our second Q&A that we've done, and this will feature the one and only Whyt Manga. He is joining us live, and we're going to be in a position to be able to chat with him and ask him all about his background, his techniques, and of course the amazing work he's doing with Apple Black, which you can read, of course, on Saturday AM. A couple of quick updates and notes. We will have Whyt's prints available at a discounted rate. Many of the art prints that Whyt does for the show, for the conventions, that is, that we do for things like Animazement and Heroes Con, we only make those available at the show. So this will be the first time you'll be able to get those. Those will be at very low prices. And do remember, of course, that we're trying to make all of our webcomic creators successful in their endeavors, and part of that is being able to support those creators with your support via subscriptions to our magazine and/or purchases of their merchandise, including art prints. So we certainly thank you for being able to participate in that, and we will have those available for you as soon as this video ends. Whyt, of course, is joining us out of Houston, Texas. Whyt, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello. It's actually Arlington, Texas.
The sad part is I used to live right in Dallas, Texas, not too far from Arlington, so I don't know why I keep thinking Houston. My apologies.
Yes, hello everybody. This is Whyt Manga, real name Odunze, but online mostly known as Whyt Manga, the creator of Apple Black, published and serialized on Saturday AM. So hey guys. Oh,
so guys, what we're gonna do,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So many people are going to come join us, and basically, what we'll do, if you guys are obviously not familiar with Whyt, he is, of course, indicated before, he is a major creator within Saturday AM. And for those of you who are not familiar with Saturday AM, we are basically a global version of some of manga properties in Japan, like Weekly Shonen Sunday, or of course Weekly Shonen Jump. We feature manga properties from that are creator-owned, from creators all around the world, from Hungary to Vietnam to America to Chile to not to Chile, but to Mexico and so on. And of course, Whyt is one of our most amazing creators, our most popular creator, and he joins us from Nigeria. Of course, he's currently in the United States. It is without fail to say that Whyt Manga is the most popular creator that we have at Apple Black. We've got some real stunners everywhere from Wally Lynn to Beverly Tool and Frederick Brown and so on. We've got some amazing creators, of course, and Mikhail Dangle, who just joined us recently with BLOCKBUSTER. So we're extremely proud to have Whyt as part of our team. Whyt is also one of the core members of My Footprint, the parent company of Saturday AM and Afternoon Effects. So Whyt informs a lot of the things that we do as a group. And I started the company, I never would have imagined we've had so many talented people. And again, to have someone like Whyt is something that I'm particularly proud of, and know you all are huge fans of. So, of course, again, we're Saturday AM. You can find us at www.saturday-am.com, and we will, of course, be having smaller moves to talk about our property and how you guys can locate us and get more information as time goes on. So, let's jump right back into the actual podcast. Of course, it's a little bit ghetto. I apologize for that. We're not a huge company, but we certainly are doing big things with a very small budget. And of course, core to that is the one and only Odunze, aka Whyt Manga. I know many of you guys have questions. You can enter those questions either via the chat window that you guys have within your system, or you can actually interact with the Hangouts on air, which is the feature we have now, by simply putting a question into the Q&A function. Only rules that we have, of course, are that you are obviously respectful to one another. Likewise, the only rules that we have as well is that you respect the fact that we have a limited number of places in the room. So should you want to ask a couple of questions, please do so. Then leave the room. You'll continue to be able to listen to the podcast and or view it after the fact on demand via our YouTube channel. And you're certainly welcome to join right back on. But of course, the room may be full at that point. So ask a couple of questions, log on, give some other people a chance to log on and ask questions, and then if everyone does that, we should be able to get through multiple people and maybe multiple times. So so that's all the rules, and I know you guys have tons of questions, so we're going to jump right into it. and let's just get going here. I'm checking the Q&A function first, seeing if we have anything in there. First comment here is from Dante Lane. He says, "Hey, how you guys doing? How you doing, Whyt? You doing good?"
Yep.
All right. Dante, he's doing great. Let's see. Next question here is more of a comment from Mark C. He just says, "Sup, Whyt?"
Same reply. Sup right back at you.
All right. Let's see here. So we have another Q&A question here. This is from Shingu Amito, and if I know our fans, his name is probably actually Tyrone Biggums, but nonetheless, Shingu.
I think I know who this is. His name is. I think his name is just Amit. I don't know. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but it's just an A-M-I-T, I think.
It's all good. Hey, we welcome everybody. Of course, I'm an old man. I like people to be, to speak. Nonetheless, he writes, "How did you guys first decide to partner up? I mean, Whyt Manga and Saturday M, of course. And Whyt, feel free to give, to speak, and of course, I'll chime in. I'll check in here after that."
Well, I'm sorry. Can you just repeat that?
Yeah, absolutely. He says, this is from Amit. He says, "How did you guys first decide to partner up?" He means, I mean, Whyt Manga and Saturday M, of course.
Well, I think the whole idea of having a magazine and having all these great creators come together and being a unit and change the webcomic scene has been. I think the idea is not necessarily new, but coming together to actually do it is pretty new and fresh. And I think everybody who's a part of it wanted to be a part of this, be a part of the movement of making this happen. It's almost like we all want our comics to be published and serialized, and I think this was a great way to do it, and still do it in a respectable way, giving web comics a little more respect and helping everybody brand your properties properly, rather than having it everywhere and doing a lot of things yourself and not really having a good foundation to move forward with your property and having it be more than just something you read on paper or something like that or online. It was just we came together because we all believed in the idea and wanted to take our properties to the next level. And we all had that belief. We have a good team. So yeah, that was those played factors. We all love our properties. I'm rambling on saying the same thing, but we had love for our properties and saw the potential in Saturday AM, and we all came together and we made it happen.
Yeah, Amit, I would just say, I mean, Whyt said it perfectly, really. And the only thing I would just say is that, again, I'll just reiterate this again. We are extremely lucky to have Whyt as part of the team. I mean, as Whyt said, the web, and I say this really to all of you guys who hope to follow in Whyt's footsteps. We have a long way to go. The thing that I pitch to Whyt and to all of our creators is that this is not easy, and that by them working together and then working with me, of course, it won't be easy. In fact, I ask a lot of Whyt, I ask a lot of all of our creators. It's a testament to Whyt's character and to the fact that he truly wants to be successful, that Whyt has taken on the challenge. And that's by no means are we guaranteed to be the next Shonen Jump or the next Marvel Comics or what have you. But the fact that we have people who have the ability of Whyt, who have dreams, and all of you guys have dreams. I get your notes all the time, like, oh, I want to make a comic, or I'm 15. I'm going to make a comic one day. I'm going to be with you guys one day. That you actually see, are willing to do the hard work to make that dream happen. I think that's what you guys should really take away from Whyt, is that it's not easy. In fact, Whyt had it easier before he got with Saturday AM. So, the prospect of trying to launch something new, the prospect of trying to bring respectability and money to webcomics, because really there's not either of those things right now in the world of webcomics. And we, of course, aren't per se a webcomic. We're an actual digital magazine. But the fact that Whyt has taken on the challenge and has been a huge part in the fact that we're where we are today is something that I hope all of you guys can actually really look up to with Whyt. He's a great artist, yes. His comic is truly blockbuster status. But the fact that Whyt, as a man, is willing to take on these type of challenges and make something new happen with the webcomic space, I think is something that you all should really strive to admire. So, so we're basically, like you said, we partnered up. I had an idea, It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I've got a background in launching brands, so this wasn't anything new for me. But certainly working with people like Whyt at the level that Whyt's at such a young age was new, and it's been just a thrill. So it's been a good process all the way through. We've got some more questions. Whyt, let's see. Your next question, Mike, is from Mark C. again. Actually, Mark, hold on. We're going to ask it. So we're going to get some new people in here. We have Devin Lee Sterling. Devin Lee Sterling is asking, what exactly is Saturday AM looking for as far as content goes? Shonen battle only, or anything that seems interesting? Whyt, if you want to answer this, feel free. I can give a quick answer to this, and we can move on.
I'll also like you to answer it. But short, it's just not necessarily action based. But if you look at things in Shonen Jump, not everything is action, but they have this. There's this feeling that when we say action, it doesn't necessarily mean fighting. Right. It could be a fight, like action, maybe minds are struggling, kind of like Death Note. There really isn't any action in it, but it is very, thought-provoking and interesting. It has, twist, and it's geared towards for the most part, a male audience. Not that we're looking for just that. I'm sure we will love some ladies on this, but for the most part, no. The short answer is no, but we're not looking for like a love story.
Yeah, I mean, well,
yeah.
let me correct that slightly. So, Whyt's correct. Don't get it mistaken that action is the only thing that we look for, because it's not. But I think that being said, though, I mean, as Whyt again said, if you look at the examples of Weekly Shonen Sunday or Weekly Shonen Jump or Akita Shonen or any of the properties in Japan, I think our basic objective is that, when I put this thing together, my whole thing was I wanted properties that actually were real properties. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's like I wanted things that literally you could actually see, not some fantasy that you could see this thing as an anime or as a TV show or as a movie or as a video game, but things you could really see because they had all the right ingredients for that. The right artwork, the right story, the right concept, the right name, so on and so forth. And so, again, you can look at properties, and I hate to keep jumping on Shonen Jump here because we don't necessarily look at them as our example for us. But, you got properties like Nisekoi. You have properties like Stealth Symphony, the Shokugeki no Soma, which is a food manga. So there are lots of properties. The key thing here, when we say action, is we mean exciting. As long as you have it exciting and you're telling a really interesting story and you're saying it's original, then we can get with that. So let me also say that if you're joining the video call, mute yourself or I will reject you. So Andre, mute your thing. I mean, so let's see here. So there we go. Let's move on now. The next question is from, let's see here, Terrence Aviles. Whyt, what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated to create?
A lot of things. My story, for start, I think if you want to do something like this, you really have to have a lot of faith and belief in your own story and know how impactful it can be. So I kind of, I love my story so much that I feel like without doing it, I feel like it's just one of those things that I have to do. I just have to do it. I love the story so much, and I want to see it come to life, and that motivates me to see it come to life and see how it impacts its readers and the expressions they get from it, and whatever they get from it, whatever's thought-provoking, or they're just excited, or they just like the action, or whatever. But I wanted to tell the story because I personally like the story, and as a fan of the genre, I know what I look for in the genre, and I wanted to bring it to life. So that motivates me, and the ability to also express yourself in the art form also motivates me. It almost feels like I am God, and all the characters are just they do whatever I you know what I'm saying. So that motivates me, and then the reaction I get from fans and followers, and that also keeps me going because they inspire me same way I inspire some of them. The fact that at this early stage I've gotten a little following that really sees my work as really appreciates my work and loves it and follows the characters, and they know the character names, and they're predicting things that are going to happen or things that are not going to happen, predicting love interests and stuff like that. You know, I like the whole idea, and it inspires me. The fact that I also inspire other people to create their own work, and you know, come to me, almost see me as a role model when really I don't think I'm at that level yet. But for the fact that I've had some kind of impact on people's lives, it also, you know, inspires me. So there are a lot of things that inspire me. Other, you know, even getting inspiration from other works. That also, you know, looking at that, I'm like, you know, I want to learn that. Like, if you see someone do some kind of crazy artwork, whether it's an illustration or a comic book, that inspires me. I watch a movie and like there's a twist at the end that blows my mind, and like I want to do that to people's minds. That inspires me. So there are a lot of things that inspire me, but you know, those are the first things that come to mind.
Excellent. Yeah. So that's a great answer, and you know, we have just to let you know, Whyt, we have 24 people in the room, and we have lots of questions. So if we can try to, you know, let's just try to hit as many of these as possible. Make sure we get everybody a chance to answer. Yeah. Samuel Gutu has a question which ties directly into what you were just talking about, actually. So it's a great segue. He writes, "Hey, Whyt and Frederick. So I've noticed that the art form of Apple Black is similar to that of Bleach in such a graceful style. Are you in any way a fan of Taikubo-san and the mangaka of Bleach?" And Whyt, I know this has come up before, so you know, feel free to address this.
For when I first started, when I first started drawing manga, I was really into Bleach and Naruto, and not just manga, but comics. I was actually more of a comic guy at first. I really got into manga in say like 2008. Maybe, yeah, I think 2008, and I saw it, and it's like I said, it's one of those things that inspired me, and I wanted to do that to people. I wanted to have that kind of impact in people's lives, and I knew my story was, you know, strong enough. I knew I could come up with something strong enough. At first, you know, obviously I had to learn a lot of things in the last 4 years, you know, both art-wise and story-wise. So, you know, I wanted to have that impact. But when it comes to like Bleach, when I was first learning you know, studying and doing research on how to draw manga and stuff like that, you know, I studied lots of art styles, and at the time, my favorite the go-to thing, even where I was Bleach, and so I was really into Bleach, and I studied a lot of things that Taikubo did. So he is definitely an influence, but I'm also inspired by the creator of Vagabond, that's Inoue Takahiro. So this is like, if you followed me from like when I first started the YouTube channel, is Whyt Manga TV now. When I first started the YouTube channel, you know, you can see the evolution of my work, and I started studying lots of people. So I studied Taikubo, I studied Inoue Takahiro, and I just started getting into One Punch Man. I've forgotten. I'm not sure, I can't remember the name exactly. Yusuke Murata or something like that.
That's it.
The art style is, you know, it's phenomenal. So I was also into Naruto, Gintama, and a lot of other things. I'm also into like comic books, so some comic style. So I try to, you know, have, you know, my work. This art style is kind of, you know, evolving. And before even manga, I always loved to draw. So I had like an art style of my own. So it's all kind of coming together and, you know, mashing up, and not just art, not just like for art, but also in story. And when it comes to story, I'm also inspired by a lot of movies and also some other comics, cartoons, and so on and so forth. So long story short, yes, I'm inspired by Bleach, but I'm also inspired by a whole lot of other things, cultures, experiences, certain traditions, etc. Religion. If you follow Apple Black, you can point out a couple of religions, but that's not too heavy. But for the most part, I'm inspired by a lot of things, and Bleach, it includes Bleach.
Cool. All right. And so Raymond King asked a question. Actually, he submitted in the chat for quite a while back. So he asked basically to be submitted in the AM spot. I guess he's talking about Saturday AM here. Do newcomers need a fan base before approaching Saturday AM? So let me just real quickly, because I can answer this real quickly. Raymond, the answer is no. You don't need to have an existing fan base. Beverly Toole, who has Catharos, which we just released in our 10th issue. She wasn't able to make the 11th issue, but she will return with a double chapter in our 12th issue. She is an African-American female, incredibly talented, But no, she didn't have like a fan base a la what Raymond Brown had for Bully Eater, or Wally Wynn for Comatose, of course, or Whyt or Mikhail or Andrea have for their respective series. So no, you don't need that. But as we said before, and we'll be talking about this more in the pilot manga scenario, but the bottom line here is that originality, as Whyt just actually talked about, if you heard his last answer, originality in your story concept, originality in your story itself, how you tell your story, your artwork, having things that it's one thing to say that Whyt has a stylistic approach that at the start looked like may have looked like Tite Kubo-san. I don't think anyone would make that comparison if they saw Whyt's newest stuff. The bottom line, though, is that without a doubt, is that Whyt's work is 100% original. His character designs look phenomenal, and that's a skill set you have to develop. That's a skill you actually have to have as a real artist. So if we get a lot of people who submit stuff that looks like Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, it's like basically you look at it and you're like, spot the influences here in terms of character designs. And I think that's, again, something that makes Whyt quite unique, and all of our properties very unique. So originality is the key. Existing fan base is not. So moving on, we now have a question from, let's see here, from, I believe this person's name is White Hair Artist, which I love. So White Hair Artist, he asks, from the first time you started Apple Black, Whyt, he's going way back here, Whyt. He goes, from the first time you started Apple Black, Strawberry Black,
yeah,
and now an awesomely refined Apple Black series today, what character do you feel has changed the most? From your original concept.
Yeah, I get it. First off, they all changed. They all changed a lot, but the most I'd say is it's probably Sano. I say Sano because why Sano? This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I'd say Sano just because now I've developed the character a whole lot more, and the way he reacts to things, and the way he, like, there have been scenarios where I'm writing and I'll be writing a scene, and he'll want to do, like, I'll write him do something, like some kind of narration, and I'll actually sit down and think with the character whether it makes sense or it doesn't. Whatever makes sense or it doesn't, and I feel like I've grown with the character a whole lot more, and the character has developed. He's not as black and white like the regular, action shonen action main character protagonist. Even if you follow the comic, there are things that he's done that are not. They're kind of not necessarily unorthodox, but like new, and it's a tough question, but like off the top, that's the first thing that comes to my mind because he has become way more original than what I had with Strawberry Black. I think that's like that I can put into English. Those are the only words I can say. Yeah, short answer is Sano.
As opposed to Japanese. All right, so that's it for White Hair Artists. We have many questions here, so like I said, we got to keep it moving here, and then we'll take a short break coming up here soon. Next question is from Andre, who asks a great question. This is a really good question. He says, Whyt, I am into manga and comics. I want to know, how can I draw my own characters in any poses? Do I need to learn how to draw? Do I need any how to draw books? Do I need to go to art college, or should I just keep on drawing? Whyt, what do you say to him?
I say, first off, you need to keep on drawing. That's a given. I also say you can, study, like I did. I studied a lot of artists, and I studied a lot of tough angles to draw characters from, tough poses, not just in comics, but you can also go to DeviantArt. There are a lot of killer artists there. You can look at their illustrations and kind of study, how the body moves, the anatomy. I personally never used an anatomy book. Maybe it helps, but I really have never used it. But the way I draw characters now is I kind of think of them as like a toy, and in my mind, in some kind of three-dimensional way, I kind of twist and turn and I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head, but like it's almost like I'm breaking the character apart in my head, and then I picture myself sitting in like at an angle, and then I draw it from that angle. And sometimes it's wrong, and I try to spot it if it's wrong, and then I erase and put it together. So first off, you need a lot of practice. I say I watched some YouTube videos. You can do that. I'm not against anatomy books. Like I said, I personally didn't use them, but you could also try that. But for the most part, what I did for the most part was, reading other comics, studying them, and when I see like when I'm reading a comic, when I'm reading a manga nowadays, I'm always reading it with Apple Black in mind. If I'm reading a comic and I see something that was just really, really good, I study that. If I see somebody draw fire, if you notice, every artist has their style, and if I see somebody draw fire this way or draw fire this way, a different way, I kind of just study that and keep it in mind. After you do it like 5 times, copying. That's another thing you can do. You can also copy drawings and not necessarily trace, but copy. And after a while, you know how to spot your mistakes and erase and fix it immediately. And so basically just study. Do a lot of research and study and practice. Don't practice pointlessly and expect magic to happen. Maybe you're just drawing and drawing and drawing. You're drawing the same thing over and over and over. You can read comics, study them, catch things, and make it fix. That's how I did it.
So let me piggyback on two points I want to make with that. Is number one is, of course, we have our pilot manga, which I recommend to everyone here. I see many questions that are asking similar questions about art and so forth. Obviously, we'll get to as many questions as we can throughout the Q&A. But as Whyt indicated, the key thing is to keep drawing. And if you join our pilot manga group, which is a group that we actually house on Facebook, it is protected membership, meaning that it's not open membership. You ask to be a member, and we will get 99.9% of you. We do look to make sure, of course, that you carry yourself professionally, that you're not someone who are constantly trying to start fights and things like that, or constantly trying to pick apart other creators. We're trying to create a community of people who are serious about being manga or webcomic creators, and people who are serious about developing their skills. So that would be my first recommendation, is join that group, because as much as drawing constantly helps you, and it is key, draw constantly, having that sort of reinforcement, having that sort of group that you can share your work with, as Whyt indicated, you can constantly look at different ways that people do fire or techniques or perspective or lay out panels. Those are key elements to helping you develop your own style. Your own style only comes about after you continue to look at other people's work, copy it, trace it, do whatever it takes to continue to be inspired. But the more you constantly draw, eventually those things blur out and you discover your own skill set. So highly recommend you do that, and that would be the best way to make that happen. Last but not least, I just bring up to say that of course, we're constantly looking at people. We don't expect you to be a grade A artist immediately. We're looking for amateur talent, and that's the whole point of what we do with My Footprint. So excellent answers from Whyt, excellent questions from you all. Just a couple of notes here. Like I said, we're getting a lot of questions that are the same thing. So respectfully, we will delete those questions, just because if Whyt's already answered them, we don't want to rehash the same question. You will have a chance to watch this entire broadcast later on our YouTube channel, and via that method, you'll be able to see the answer to the question that you would ask. Trust me. Likewise, we're going to get to as many questions as we can, so please keep them coming through either the Q&A or the chat window. We're going to take a moment, though, and of course, just do a bit of advertising about why we're here, because of course we're in business. And that's the entire point of us doing what we're doing. So again, for those of you who are not familiar with who we are, I'm going to do a quick screen share here. It's our ghetto way of showing you material, because I know you love looking at me, but you're going to look instead at our material. And so the key thing for Saturday, of course, is that we are a digital manga publication. So what does that mean? It means we come out every 2 weeks. Our page count is everywhere from 80 to 100 pages, if not more. Our last issue, number 11, was over 100 pages. Every issue is just $1.99, and every issue features creators from all over the world. We have creators from America, from Vietnam, the Philippines, Hungary, and of course, Whyt is from Nigeria. We're extremely proud of the lineup of copies, creators that we have. across Saturday AM. We're proud as well. We have Afternoon WebX, which is a free manga webcomic line. So, of course, we sell our issues $1.99 each issue. At the same time, you are able to take part in what we're generating with our titles by simply subscribing. And you get, for subscribing, you get 5 issues. I mean, you get for $5, you get 20 issues a year. That is the best deal in comics, ladies and gentlemen. That is literally the best deal in comics. No one else comes close to that. In fact, even for our single issues, if you were to buy digital comics via method like Comixology or iBooks, you'll pay $1.99 or $2.99 even for a digital comic book, if not more. Some of those sites like Comixology for titles like Walking Dead or Marvel Comics. The key thing with that is, remember, is that we have just as many pages, if not more, than they do. We feature some really top talent from all over the world. Our book's $5 subscription for an entire year. So when you support Saturday AM, either with a single issue sale or with the actual purchase of a subscription, you're supporting our creators. You're helping people like Whyt Manga continue to produce the content that he creates. That's not to say that every amount of money that comes in goes directly to Whyt, of course.
Oops. I think Fred got cut out. Thanks.
You there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm back. What happened?
Have the slightest idea. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the power. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you support subscriptions. This is why you support. Because when it's on our budget, you need to support subscriptions. All right, let's see here. Let's get back to the Q&A. Many of you guys had some Q&A, and we had just selected one of the latest questions here, which was really strong. It was from Shingu Ahmed here, and let me just pull the questions back up here. Let's see. Longelini Vimarts has a question here. It's more sort of rumor, so I'm sure you can answer this real quickly, Whyt. He asked, what motivated you to carry on Apple Black on your own? Because I heard you started with a friend.
like I said, I think I've basically answered the question before. What motivates me, same thing, you know.
Well, I think more so the reason I suggested that is that did you create Apple Black with a friend?
Apple Black, it wasn't Apple Black. It was like we created something. I
Mm-hmm.
was this was like during the time I was reading, getting into manga,
Mm-hmm.
and my friend and I wanted to make a manga. Usual thing. A couple kids get together and want to do a manga,
Mm-hmm.
and it just didn't work out. And not that just different paths kind of
Right.
thing.
Okay.
So the ideas I had for that manga, which were weird and childish at the time. But some of the ideas that I thought were cool, I took from there, developed them, and they're in Apple Black, and that's what at least they were Strawberry Black, and I developed a whole lot more and a whole lot better, and now we have Apple Black.
Okay. All right. So next question up is from Shingu Mito, who advises us that it's pronounced Amit, but says thanks for answering his first
Thank
question.
you, Amit.
His next question follows up on the previous one. Basically, this is just tied to Saturday AM. He asked you, how has the experience been being part of a team, and what types of things came up that were new or interesting experiences?
I guess first of all, working with a team is great because everybody's talented. Everybody brings something to the table. We have great chemistry. So working with a team, which is something I'm not too used to. I have worked on a project before with someone, which was horrible. But this, the team chemistry here and the team here, there's a lot of life. It's great so far. What's been new, is having to be a whole lot more, professional about things and deadlines and, which in some ways helped me. When I was on other sites, basically I was pretty laid back on myself with deadlines. And for what Apple Black is and what I plan it to be with, this big story and a lot of things that I want to do with it, it was kind of moving at a really slow pace. So this also helps me, pop pages out and make sure I get my stuff in. I still have a lot of things that I'm doing besides the manga, but at the same time it also gives me some sense of discipline. So these are things that and it also makes me look at Apple Black from a different perspective. There are a couple ideas thrown around and allow me see Apple Black to be even bigger than what I currently see it as. So basically it lets me see more potential and it lets me be a little more professional about things and more disciplined. So and working with a great team team chemistry is also helps for the future. And just any job you get to you work at or whatever, it also helps. It helps with experience as well.
Yeah, I would say to answer that question, basically, I mean, yeah, look, it's everything. I mean, I think the problem with webcomics in terms of, again, why we think webcomics have struggled to get taken seriously by a lot of people, by a lot of companies, by a lot of really because at the end of the day, I mean, people look at it like a hobby. It's like the person might be really, really good who does the webcomic that people like, but at the end of the day, they're not getting paid for it. No one's paying anything for it. If you go to some of our competitor websites, you're just checking it out. You click a like button in the corner, and that that might make the artist feel good that day. That doesn't pay his internet bill. That doesn't pay his. That doesn't help him get a hat. That doesn't help him get a cheeseburger at McDonald's. So, it's like that's kind of the reality of where things are. So, our team, as Whyt said, it is. We're very purposeful in who we put together with Saturday AM and Afternoon WebX. So people who are not good at teams or people who express themselves in really negative ways, that doesn't do well because again, part of the thing is that it's one thing to be competitive, but it's another thing to simply be part of a team, recognizing that what you're doing is bigger than you, it's bigger than your book, and so as Whyt said, we have one hell of a team, and everyone there is mature, they're professional, they take what they do seriously. And I think that's why so many of you guys have embraced us so early on. We're not even a year old in terms of Saturday AM, and the way you all talk about us, the responses that we get with our traffic and so forth is very inspiring. So, so that's what I would say to that. And the same rules apply to our pilot manga program. which many of you are asking about. Obviously, as I said, we don't admit anybody into the pilot manga program. We look at you, we make sure that you're not someone who is trying to start fights or think you're going to be the biggest artist in your country or a continent or whatever. It's like those sorts of things, speak to something that's a little different than simply trying to create a really good book, with the challenges that you have today with webcomics and trying to sell a digital comic like Saturday AM is difficult. So personality is everything, teamwork is everything, and being part of a team will help you in the long run. That as the oldest person in our group, I can assure you that there's nothing you will do in life where you will be successful without having a team behind you, whether it's a strong family, or it's a good corporate environment, and/or it's, of course, a team that you work with, like something like Saturday AM. So it's an absolute must. Moving on here, this is one that actually popped up, and it came up the other day, and why do I have to take this one? So this is someone asking a question about, this is C.K. Lionheart, who also posted this question on our YouTube channel. He basically says to pay good. And C.K., we don't really get into the money part. We're a company we're trying to grow. We're like most startup companies. Twitter before they became Twitter, or Google before they became Google. So we're trying to utilize a lot of revenues coming in and strengthen our position. But actually, I'm sending some money to Whyt tonight, as a matter of fact. But what I would say is that while I appreciate that question, typically when I get questions like this, my first question back is, CK, are you subscribing to us? Because I know your question was about, if we select you for a pilot manga, will you actually get paid for it? And the pilot manga program is not designed to, we would just bring someone into Saturday AM if we thought they were going to help us sell books. So, I appreciate the question, but I think, again, the question to be asked is, are you someone that's going to help us sell books? Because if your question is, you join pilot manga so that you can personally get paid, that's not the reason to join the pilot manga. And if that's your question as well at Saturday AM, that's also not the reason to join Saturday AM. But our group is obviously we have top talent. They're with us. They've come to us when they've had offers from other people, and I think that should kind of be the answer you stick with there. So moving on past that, we have a question from let's see here, Mark C. This is a good question. He asked, do you feel like story more than art, or vice versa? I guess he's he's asking basically, do you feel which one matters more for Apple Black? Is it story more than art, or is it a combination? Like, what is it about Saturday AM or Apple Black that you think really the key?
It's definitely both, I guess. I think if the story was not as good, and deep down I knew, that will also be a factor in my motivation. I'd probably not be motivated to keep going, and I'd probably do something else. Because apart from Apple Black, as some people know, I have a lot of titles that I haven't brought to light. Some I've actually started, and some are sitting on my desk and not doing anything right now. But Apple Black so far is the one that I've developed the most, and is one that I'm most hyped for. So for the genre especially. Story and art are both important. I think if the story was great and the art wasn't, you could lose a lot. But it depends. It depends on how patient the viewer or the reader is. I don't know. But for me, definitely both. I think both are really strong. And if you ask me, I think the story is stronger than the art. I'm still improving on both ends, and hopefully I pull things off and put everything together and it comes out exactly how it should. But for the most part, I take both of them really seriously, and I try to improve on both ends. And I think I've improved a whole lot more writing than even in the art. And I know I've improved in art, and I'm trying to keep improving on both ends. So definitely both sides of both are what make the comic or the manga or whatever, and they're very important. And I try to improve on both ends.
Okay. So, great question here from Terrence Aviles. And Terrence, I apologize. You actually asked this question a while back, and I thought I read it, but I actually didn't. So my apologies. Whyt, actually, this is a question I would ask you, but I actually can't ask you this question. But basically, Terrence is asking. He says, Whyt, his name is Terrence, by the way, right? And he actually calls you a dunze, which Terrence, Whyt's mama don't even call him that. But no, anyways. Will you be taking part He's asking you, Whyt, will you be taking part in the future pilot manga events like judging and/or advice giving? So I'll let you answer this, and I'll kind of explain.
I mean, definitely, yeah. Kind
Yes.
of to support the cause, yeah.
So Terrence, real quickly, so we're going to be announcing each creator each day. I'll tell you that I haven't heard back from two of the other people. I mean, everyone knows they're going to be doing it. They all know that they're going to be doing it, as you just heard Whyt say. But basically, every creator's got their own issues and so forth each month, and so that's why we cycle through the creators each month. And so Beverly is going to do it this first month with me. We're going to get two other creators, one from Saturday AM, one from Afternoon WebX. I've reached out to both creators that I think should be able to participate this month. Absolutely, we intend to have Whyt be a part of it. It might be this month. I'll find out if the other person is unable to do it, because I know Whyt also has schedule issues he has to maintain. One thing I will say, though, is that every creator of Saturday AM is already within the group. Every creator will be throwing out advice. If you post something, they'll be replying if they've got if they want to, or if they see an opportunity to give a particular opinion about something. We're putting the rules in the pilot manga soon about basic communication. This should not be a fan forum. So that's another thing is, please do not turn it into a fan forum. Don't Whyt, I love you. Would you please look at my hands and tell me how I draw hands? Let's not go down that route. Like I said, we carry ourselves as professionals. We expect you to carry yourselves as professionals, meaning that this is a group for you to seriously take the opportunity to learn, whether it's Wally Wynn or Raymond. Wally Wynn, by the way, who is a phenomenal creator. Whether it's Wally Wynn, Raymond Brown, anyone from Saturday AM or Afternoon WebX who's willing to give you some advice and give you the opportunity is advice worth listening to, because they truly, as part of what I've established from the very beginning, they truly are committed. We are all committed to you creators having a chance to actually make a living at this. And that's why we're all in this together. If you read Saturday AM and you read out my letters from the publisher, every issue I talk about the fact that this is a revolution. This is about the fact that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or the next Batman, the next Iron Man, we don't have to wait for Paramount or Disney or Marvel or DC or Warner Brothers or Viz or Shueisha to tell us what that next property is. We know how we know the next property exists, because you all are the creators of it. But the next property already is here. It's because of you all that it's here. So our mission, our objective is to create that platform for you all to be able to move to the next level. So this is not a fanboy thing. In fact, if you're a fanboy, you're not going to last, because I will rip you apart. And Whyt will tell you that I will be brutal at times. But that being said, though, is that this is a place for you if you're serious about going to the next level, where you can focus on those skill sets. And that's what the pilot manga program is. And that's what it's set up to do. Let's move on to the next question here. We're actually staying with the pilot manga for a second. White hair artist just asked a very basic question. He says, I'm nowhere near the phase of starting to draw storyboards. Can I still join the group? The answer is yes, white hair artist. Let's see, Whyt, you got some more questions here. Let's see here. So Whyt, Andre Roberts asks, when doing manga, when doing Apple Black, do you write the chapters like a story, then visualize how it will look, or do you brainstorm from manuscripts?
I have an idea of where I'm going with the whole story, and that's like say I have an idea of where like for Apple Black right now, I know what's going to happen in like the next, till the end, really. But to be defined, I define it as I go, but I know where I'm going. And after that, then I write, for each arc or whatever, I write each chapter as the dialogue or monologue or whatever. I write that and the narration and what goes down in the chapter. And from the script of the chapter, then I create the storyboards from there. Because once you read a line, you kind of visualize. Then I visualize how the character is saying it, what angle he's saying it from, or something like that. For instance, if there was like a big bad guy saying something really, maybe he's motivating his own, his henchmen or whatever, I can have like the camera from under to kind of emphasize on the idea that maybe he looks down on you, or he's a kind of character that he thinks he's above everybody else, that kind of thing. So from the dialogue, the script, I visualize, I come up with the storyboards or the names or the thumbnails from that, and from the thumbnails I create the manuscript, like the pages. I sketch the page, panel it, ink, and scan it into the computer, and add tones. Then edit it, put in text, make sure everything's looking a-okay. Boom, that's a page.
Excellent. So next question is from C.K. Lionheart. He asks, in your old ideas for Strawberry Black, you were planning a time skip. Is that something that's still going to happen? He says he'd love to see your old time skip designs in your new style.
Yes, the time skip. The time skip is going to. I'm not. I guess I'm. It's, you know, this whole thing is kind of one of those things that you've announced that people don't know about. Right. I guess they know really early on. There is going to be a time skip. Yeah, but it's really far away, like really far away. Like I said, I know the whole Apple Black thing could take. From my math, is going to be somewhere around 500 chapters, like the whole story. And halfway around 250 or 300, that's when the time skip is going to take place.
And guys, typically when you hear that noise that sounds like a kid squealing in the background, that's our account. All right, so let's see here. Next up is John Hardy. So some of these questions are just related to the pilot manga, and guys, we're going to try to save some of that for the last 10 minutes because we're also going to make a special announcement about Saturday Wars, which is something that we're going to announce officially today. So I'll be talking about those, the pilot manga and Saturday Wars, right towards the end. Don, I'll get to your question real quickly, though, because I clicked on it. You're asking about the competition for the pilot mangas, where we do this thing called Test Flight. These are going to basically be kind of like in Japan, the Hop Step Award. Bottom line is that, again, you don't have to have any sort of manga that you're working on to be a part of the group. So, number one, you are listening to this podcast, you want to be a part of the group, you want to be amongst other webcomic and or manga amateurs and creators, join the pilot manga. Number two, if your question is in regards to you want to enter the competitions, you can be selected for a chance to be featured in Afternoon WebEx or Saturday AM. Basically, we'll be discussing all of that in the pilot mode. So simply join it, and then we'll be revealing more information about what we're looking for, things like that. I can tell you that just because you may have a comic already built, already established and so forth, doesn't mean that that's going to be something that we look at and go, oh yeah, okay, you're a lock for winning the Test Flight thing. Absolutely not. In fact, I can almost assure you that's not going to be the case. So we'll be looking for things very specifically. We'll outline all of those in the pilot manga. The best bets are doing the pilot manga, and stay tuned, and we'll be revealing everything there. So next up, more questions for Whyt. We have let's see here. Sorry, Whyt, we got so many questions here. I'll just run through a couple of things. Whyt, Sha Win wants to let you know that it's great talking to you.
It's great hearing from everybody.
All right. Sketching Hands writes, when it comes to studying humans flying, which source do you find provides better reference, American superheroes or Japanese shonen?
I don't really look at it for. Let's say I'm looking. Let's say. Like I don't really know how to, for reference, I don't really use, it's weird, but let's say if I see a drawing that inspires me and the anatomy looks pretty cool and I'm like, I want to learn, I want to study, how the artist came up with that. Another thing is I'm trying to study how the artist even started to draw, not just the whole drawing and come up with my own, try to think like the artist and come up with like what technique did he use and stuff like that. But for the most part, I don't care if it's manga or comics. If I see something I like, I study it. It doesn't have to comic, but for the most part, just because as from recent years I've been more into manga. The main thing with Marvel and DC, things with Marvel and DC, I don't really follow the comics almost at all. I just follow the movies really, and that's it. Because there's so many versions of like Wolverine. Today Wolverine is bald. Tomorrow Wolverine is black. They have so many writers and so many different universes for the whole Marvel thing. It's all confusing, so I try to stick with the movies. But and this goes for just not manga or comics, even illustrations that I see on DeviantArt. If you follow me on DeviantArt, it's Odunze, odunze.deviantart.com. And if you go to my favorites, there are a lot of things in my favorites, and everything that I favorite, there is something in there that I saw that I was like, I have to do that, or that inspires me, or I have to study that. And you can even see the full, if you go there, there's like the folder, there are even folders, subfolders in my favorites to just break things down. So let's say if I'm looking for, I want to paint a cloud there's like a folder that's like clouds, and I try to study them and study all the artists and stuff like that. So it's not just what I see from like the really, really top guys, the pros, but what I see anywhere. And it might not even be a drawing. It might be a straight up picture, or something. And I look at it and I'm like, there's something about it, and I take it. So it doesn't, for the most part, it's been coming from manga-like things, but it could come from anywhere. Even a music video, I really don't care. If I see something I like, I try to study it.
Yeah, and you talked at the start of the of this podcast again. You discussed the fact that there are some manga creators that you adore. I know that when we have our sessions internally within Saturday M, we talk about our love for like Yasuke Murata-san and various creators. In a way, you said you are a big fan of. So yeah, I mean I think like any creator, there's so many different things out there you can be inspired by, and I would certainly agree with Whyt there. I mean there's no one thing, and this is one thing to be very clear about, guys. I know many of you are big fans of Whyt, as you should be, because he's a phenomenal artist. But and I can tell you he's a nice guy as well. But the key thing here, guys, is is your creativity really, as stupid and as cheesy as this will sound. God knows this is going to sound cheesy, but it really starts from here, in your heart. No, but it really starts, within. It's got to be something because how you see the world is what makes creativity. The things that you see. When you look at Batman, if you see something within Batman that inspires you, it can be totally different from what everyone else views Batman, and that's what makes you a star, because you see something unique in the work, and that's what allows your creativity to come forward in a unique way. So, so yeah, I mean, there's no one answer, and don't listen to any one creator tell you, oh, we'll do this and do that. Again, the Pilot Manga program is meant to be for every creator of every style, of every property we have at Saturday M, as well as all of you, to be able to share and add to this gigantic world that we pull from to really hone our creativity. So let's see here. So thank you for that question. Let's see here. Who else do we have here for you, Whyt? We have, let's see. Okay, so C.K. Lionheart actually dropped some science on me. First of all, she's a she, so my apologies, C.K. Lionheart. And I didn't know from the name. And thank you again for subscribing. You said you are subscribed, so thank you very much for that. I'm going to treat Whyt to a double later this evening. Let's see. You said you're going to be most likely entering the pilot contest. Thank you. We can't wait to see your stuff. You indicated as a digital traditional artist, you're wondering if you'd be more open to accept one style over the other. So Whyt, as a digital traditional artist, and then we've talked about this before, Whyt, when I interviewed you the very first time, you do digital, you do traditional. As the world is changing now, which one do you find yourself preferring more?
Because of monetary issues, definitely digital. It's cheap, and it keeps getting better, it keeps evolving. We're entering a lot of stuff is digital right now, but I still like doing traditional stuff. There's this, I guess, natural look it has that I like, but there are some digital works that can duplicate that. But for the most part, I find myself coming back to doing a lot of digital work now. But I also like traditional stuff. But for the most, I do a lot more digital than I ever did.
Okay. So Whyt, we're going to speed through. We've got a couple of questions here. Like I said, now I want to save that last 5 or 10 minutes to discuss the stuff you have coming up. So Nico Belize, and Nico, if I misspelled that, if I misstated that, I do apologize. Has an excellent question, really excellent question. So again, if you can keep this kind of focused and quick, that'd be great. When creating action scenes, how in depth do you think one should draw them? For example, like a move-by-move similar to an animation style, or big moves being emphasized, which I would say is my injection here, more Marvel comic style. Marvel's great for showing you Wolverine popping his claws and looking all badass and stuff. In the next panel, maybe he's like slashing somebody. It's a room full of people, but the third panel, he's done. Like that's Marvel style. Whereas in manga, they do kind of like literally show you panel by panel. Which one do you prefer, Whyt?
I like to show. If I could show everything, I would show everything. But I just show enough for enough. Let's say in an action scene, I show enough panels to make sure that the reader knows exactly what's going on. The reader know what movements being made and stuff like that. And I think action scenes are very powerful, and there's a lot going on. It can be so you can make it, I guess, for lack of a better word, epic. If you put in a lot of work. I'm not too sure if I'm answering the question correctly, but when I don't want, you don't want the fight to drag out. You just need to get the key actions and move on. So you can't, like, some fights are not even supposed to it's also a storytelling thing, right? If you're drawing a panel of the whole fight, like, I think if I read a manga, a 20-page chapter, and the whole thing was just this fight, just this big fight, and nothing happened, even if it was like good drawings, I'm not too interested. So that's just me. I like key things to happen. I'm also a big fan of the WWE, right? Very few people know. A lot of people are getting to know this a whole lot more, because I wasn't into it for a while, and I just came back into it. And there are things when you watch a match. This, I think, is a good example. If it was just a fight from beginning to end, it's kind of boring because we know it's scripted. But if there are key things that happen in a fight that you can emphasize on and bring to life, that just brings the whole fight to life. Another thing, when I'm creating fight scenes, I like to listen to music, depending on how the fight's going. If it may be heavy metal or stuff like that. I'm not too big of a heavy metal fan, but I like something like Marilyn Manson kind of stuff, and just edgy stuff. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, when I'm creating action scenes, I just capture key points, make sure it's eventful and it's not just hack and slash, and you draw enough to make sure that the reader knows exactly what's going on, and don't be lazy and skip actions that might help the whole fight. And also, it's also one of those things that you have to do a lot of research and you have to study as well. So there are different ways to do it. There's not just one way. This is how I would do it. I also like to have my characters talking too, not too much, but there's so many ways to do it, but that's what I do. Keep it, make sure they know what's going on, capture key points, and make it eventful and stuff like that.
Well, I want to thank you again for keeping an answer short. All right, so next up here, that's a joke. Let's go.
It's a tough question.
I'm just teasing, but no, I thought it was a great question. In fact, I think it was one of the best questions we've had, because that is an eternal struggle. I think you kind of showed that just in your answer. All jokes aside, that's the eternal struggle with comic creating, is how do you tell a scene? And like Whyt said towards the end there, it could just be characters sitting around talking. I know Beverly and I are working with a new creator that we're hopefully going to bring on at some point. And again, this is why Beverly's an excellent pilot manga critic. But we're working with a new creator and extremely talented. But that's something that's one of the tests that we do, is looking at him doing like something that's just literally two people having a cup of coffee, because your ability to tell a scene is really all that matters. How you set the mood, how you set the atmosphere, and if you had no thought bubbles there, can you still tell what's going on? Manga traditionally excels at this. This is something that Marvel Comics and DC Comics and a lot of Western comics are completely poor at compared to manga. On the other hand, American comics are really good at big budget things. They can really make spectacle look awesome, and sometimes manga doesn't do that as well. So both have different styles. As Whyt said, you have to find what works for you. But again, part of the work of being a professional storyteller is learning how to tell the story for you, and that's the key part. Next question here, and again, we really got to shoot through these because we're going to really go over our time limit. Amit asked another great question. He's saying, he lives in the Northeast. He would love to see us in person. He knows that we've been doing conventions. Whyt, any plans to attend New York Comic Con?
I'm sure nothing is set in stone, but I'm sure that things in the works. It's very possible that I would. It's very possible that I would do. I mean, I don't know. Really, the real answer is I don't know. But New York Comic Con is really big, so there's a good chance that I would be there.
We're going to try to get Saturday M and all of our creators to as many shows as possible. And obviously, it's a bit of a challenge in the sense that we're a small company, and the fact that, again, these shows, America is such a big country, and we have so many creators who are international. So getting like Wally, who would be a phenomenal person to attend this convention, trying to get into a show would be just extremely difficult without having a lot of funds for that. So, so the bottom line is that we're working on that. We of course would like to get Whyt to as many shows as possible, and we're going to try to hopefully we'll have something to discuss about that very soon. Let's see. So basically, everyone, I'm gonna go into. So I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna open this podcast up for another 15 minutes. We will close the podcast out at 10:30. Right now it's 10:15. What I'd like to do before we do that, though, because again, many of you have questions that are all similar to one another. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do: at this moment, to formulate your final questions. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you guys again about the stuff that we do, and also tell you about a special announcement we're making tonight for the first time anyway. So, again, for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, my name is Frederick Jones. My company is My Footprint, and I started several brands that we published, and creators like Whyt Manga are not only our exclusive creators, but Whyt is a business partner with me alongside of a handful of other people to hopefully change the way that webcomics and digital comics are for the future. We're really excited about everything that we're doing. Saturday AM is our flagship brand. Those of you who are familiar with Saturday AM know that we're a digital manga publication. We go anywhere from 80 to 100 pages every single issue. When you think about that, we represent the best deal in comics, and that's not a crazy statement. If you were to buy Walking Dead off of Comixology, and I love Walking Dead, I love Robert Kirkman, but if you were to buy Walking Dead, you're going to pay $2.99 for a digital comic book. It's probably less than 40 pages. That is the same price, by the way, you would pay for it in the comic book store. So clearly, Robert Kirkman has made a statement saying our property, Walking Dead, is valuable, whether it's digital or print, it's worth $3. And we've made a similar statement. 80 to 100 pages of the best webcomic and digital creators around the world collected in one space, Saturday AM, for $1.99 an issue. But even better, we offer 20 issues if you subscribe to us for just $5 a year. There is literally no better deal in comic books by far than what we offer. And we do it because we understand that our creators are amateur creators. They're the top amateur creators, but they're amateur creators. And our objective is to prove to the world not only are webcomics a valuable place to find the next hottest thing, the next Turtles, the next Yu-Gi-Oh!, the next Batman, the next Iron Man, not only should webcomics be the destination to find those next hot things for people around the world, but the digital platform is superior. And we producing a digital platform for just $5. Those of you who maybe don't yet realize how great it is to be able to use something digitally, you'll have a chance to try us out for 20 issues for just $5. That's the cost of a coffee. That's the cost of a Happy Meal. Many of you have taken part of that. We hope many of you can do as well. Or as well with that, that helps keep our company afloat. Also, by you doing that, you have a chance to learn about other products that we offer. You can buy Whyt Manga prints, art prints that are 12 by 18. In fact, we have some of those here. Now, obviously, this is the Falcon Lux Nova here, but you can see the beautiful production quality here that we have. And we'll have some of Whyt Manga's prints available for you. They're convention only, but they're available for you direct right after this podcast. You're looking on our gumroad.com/Saturday AM page, and you will find a couple of exclusive pieces from Whyt Manga that you can only get there. Some of them priced as low as $5. And you support that. Of course, the shipping and handling is not included. But when you support that, you're supporting Whyt Manga. You're allowing him to continue doing what he does and maintain and ultimately build this company and build the career that he and others hope to have. The big announcement we want to make tonight, though, is that many of you have been asking us to create something that would be for comic book stores. You're like, well, why can't I buy this in the comic book store? So on and so forth. Well, we're going to answer that question tonight. We're creating an original property called Saturday Wars. It will star everybody from Saturday AM to Afternoon WebX. It'll feature artwork from everybody, from Whyt Manga to Beverly Toole, as well as some as Raiden Brown, Wally Wynn, as well as some special surprises that we'll be revealing very soon. Now, you can see the initial information about Saturday Wars, which is really just a logo, on our website. You go to saturday-am.com/wars. I don't want to reveal the plot for the story right now, except to say this can be very big. It has to be big. We're going to have all these characters in one story. I'm also not going to reveal exactly how everything's going to be put together, but I can promise you it's going to be something that will be very big when we pull it all together. It's not slated to come out this year, but we will be making announcements about it and revealing a lot of detail over the next couple of days and weeks. And we hope that you all will be front and center supporting us the same way you support us with our T-shirts and our prints and, of course, our subscription. Saturday Wars, we think, is going to be the biggest thing to happen. It's, of course, within our world, but certainly the biggest thing to happen in digital. And we hope that you guys will be part of helping that revolution continue with the debut of Saturday Wars. So, with that being said, thanks again for supporting us. Please check out our website. Tell your friends about our website. Of course, we have Afternoon WebX, which has all free manga featuring some of the quirkiest and coolest webcomic creators from Mexico to America to Canada. We also have Well Read, which is our ebook line, where you can buy a 475-page interactive ebook by Mario Savovsky called Skypunk for just 99 cents. We're really trying to do really big, bold things, and we appreciate all the support you guys give to us. We've got other big announcements coming, so thank you for being a part of it. Now let's finish this podcast up on a bang by finishing up the last couple of questions that you have specifically for Whyt Manga. And let's see, we've got a couple of questions here. We're going to speed through them. We have about 9 minutes, so Whyt, try to keep these answers as quick as possible. Let's see here. Nico asks again, how do you decide when and how a chapter or page is complete? I often create many versions of chapter 1, but I can never truly say this is the first chapter and then move on.
I think I like to give all my chapters some kind of theme, and almost to the point where even though it doesn't necessarily stand alone, I try to make it feel like it stands alone, and almost like a subplot, and I finish each subplot in each chapter. Now, sometimes it might extend to the next chapter, say leave like a cliffhanger, and something is happening, trying to give the reader the feeling like they have to read the next chapter because maybe I leave them hanging in this chapter. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to, like I said, most of the stuff you find what works for you, and you can study a lot of other movies, TV shows, comics, and try to understand why the writer would want to end here, or why the artist would want to end here, or why the cartoon ends here, or why is there to be continued here, or something like that. So it also has to do a lot of research and studying. But I like to leave the reader with wanting more. It's kind of cliche, but it's the truth. And make sure that each chapter, to some degree, finishes some kind of subplot or completes a theme for that chapter. I know it's a little vague, but that's really my answer.
Yeah, I would just say on that as Whyt said. In fact, I think the best part of Whyt's answer was what he said there, is that this is cliche, but it's true. If you don't have your reader asking for more, then you failed. That's what storytelling is all about. Is you're telling a story and you want to have the reader involved emotionally. And being involved emotionally means that they can't wait to read the next part of what you have. Let me say as well that part of what makes Saturday AM unique is the fact that we are different. We're not a free platform. And so part of the challenge with us being set up the way we are, including Afternoon WebX, which also works differently, is that from the get-go I wanted to create a platform that forced the creators to have to get into a storytelling style that A, was consistent, and at the same time always left you wanting to see the next thing that happens. And so because of the way we're set up, I think that helps create that mentality, because when you're just doing something on the web and no one's forcing you to produce content, no one is paying you for the content, it's very difficult to have that mental clock as to what works. But when you see every couple of weeks how many issues you sold, and you see every couple of weeks what your traffic levels are, and you have a sense that people are outraged, or they're happy, or they're angry over where you left off at, then you've done your job. And that's why Saturday AM has been so successful. Next question is, let's see here. Devin Lee Sterling. Okay, well, Devin Lee Sterling is asking, what are the rules of submissions for contests, page count, yada yada. Devin Lee, please join the Pilot Manga program that will answer all of your questions. You can find that on our facebook.com/SaturdayAM/. Again, everybody asking questions about how to submit material, what we're looking for. Pilot Manga will answer all those questions. join our Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Saturday AM / and simply look for the links to the pilot manga. We also have the pilot manga links on our website. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, you can't miss it. Go there, and that'll give you all the answers from there. Mark C. asked you, Whyt, what's your favorite manga? I think you answered this already, but speed round.
Favorite manga? I don't really have a favorite, but there are a couple that I read right now. I don't read that much right now. I'm kind of really focused on mine. But ones I read right now, the only 2 or 3 I read now is just Gintama, Bleach, and One Punch Man.
Okay. Next question is from Longelini, I believe is the young man's name. He wants to know, when's the next Whyt Manga contest?
This fall, possibly this fall.
Okay.
Or late this summer.
Okay. C.K. Lionheart asked a great question. Where did you get the idea for just the name Apple Black, which is a great name?
It had to do with it has to do with the story, right? There's this power source it's called Apple Black, but and I could have called it anything. That's another tough question. I really have to remember why I wanted to call it Apple Black, but I wanted something catchy, something simple, something memorable, not hard to pronounce, marketable. And it also goes with the story and what I'm trying to, it's kind of like a power source, right? And it's one of those things where it has gone through generations, and everybody becomes, sorcerers by absorbing not Apple Black, but like the whole black idea. So there are other fruits, right? And they might not necessarily even look like fruits, really, but that's the idea. And with the Bible, with Adam and Eve kind of thing, where they ate the apple and then they kind of see the world differently. So that also plays a role, and really that's kind of explains where the apple came from. And I know also it originally started at strawberry black, but was more of an experimental thing, and changed over time. So really, I also wanted something, like I said, they're not necessarily fruits, but they have that theme going on. So Apple Black really fit for me. Black, the idea of something black was kind of vague. Black, the color, it's just black, it's just darkness. It kind of gives that feel of being vague. And Apple Black is the power source that's is the strongest. So that's for the roots. But the idea, the name itself, I want something quick, catchy, and simple, easy to remember, memorable, marketable. It sounded cool.
All right. So let's see here. So then, so I had a couple of good questions here. Again, just really simple questions. Let's see here. Okay, so Mark C. asks, how do you divide your time during the day? Like, how do you divide your time when you're creating manga?
That's one of the things I'm struggling with right now, because I have a lot of things that I'm doing, and a lot of things that just pop up out of nowhere and just destroy whatever schedule I may have had. But right now I'm doing some personal stuff, but for the most part I don't really have a schedule. I don't sleep too early. I don't sleep early, really. But sometimes I do, most times I don't. So it's just like a manual schedule in my mind that I just draw manga at night. That's what I do.
Okay, and I can attest to the fact, ladies and gentlemen, he stays up late. Whyt, this is probably going to be the last question here, and then we'll just finish up final comments. Obviously, Apple Black is hugely popular. It's our most popular series. This person wants to know, and I'm going to let you kind of answer it how you will. They want to know. They asked a very specific question about, does anybody die? I guess but let me amend it slightly and just ask, any upcoming things you want to reveal about Apple Black that people should be looking out for?
I hope people have not forgotten about the first villain I ever showed, which is the Whyt Manga guy. There's a big event coming up in a really close chapter. It's not far away, say maybe 9, and it's a really big twist-ish kind of thing going on, cliffhanger things going on, big event. And does anybody die? I kind of don't want to spoil anything,
Don't
But
spoil it.
yeah,
Don't even answer that.
yeah. That's I'm not answering that.
Yeah.
But definitely, if you keep up with Apple Black, I will shock you.
There'll be some twists and turns, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, well, everybody, we're just about done here. I just want to pause again and state to thank you all for coming out. We had just an amazing amount of people out, and again, it's a testament to how much you guys love Whyt and how popular he is within our group. I do want to answer one question. There were many questions still unanswered that were about, again, the pilot manga and stuff like that, Saturday Wars, which I thank all of you for again, having interest in the stuff that we're doing. One question, though, I think is worth answering is at this point, is the one answering a question about, for people who, I think it's from Ahmed, and they asked a question about, is there a recurring payment method for those who do not want to get all 20 issues, or for those who don't want to renew their subscriptions each year? And the answer to that is no, but there is a different method that we do offer, and that is the season pack. So every 5 issues, Saturday comes out bi-weekly. And after that 5th issue, we take a month off, and that's by design, so that we give all of our creators time to relax and catch up with their other stuff that's going on in their lives and so forth. And also to give you all time to kind of breathe and do other stuff that you do, and that way when we come back, you're ready for it. That's why we think our 11th issue, which just came out, had Mythalical Lux Nova on the cover and had a 60-page plus debut chapter, was our best-selling issue ever. I mean, you guys ate that thing up, and that's the way that we want to continue to maintain things. So we have some really big surprises coming up every couple of issues like that. But I think the key thing for us is that what we do is we take those 5 issues, issue 1 through 5, issue 6 through 10, we take them and we sell them as bundles. And so if you were to buy each issue individually, which is $1.99, you would pay $10 for a season. But if you look right now on our store, you will find season 1, issue 1 through 5, for $7.50. You save about 25% off of that price. And then collectively, the latest season, season 2, which was issue 6 through 10, is just $5. That's nearly 400 pages of content. I think 450 pages of content for just $5. So again, that's a great way to try us out. Try us out over several issues. If you don't like it, then you don't have to continue buying any more seasons. So we think we've got a really great path that way for people to enjoy Saturday AM. Not to mention the fact that we have several chapters on our website that are free. Some of the first chapters, like of Apple Black, for example, and you also are able to interact with the stuff that we do for individual issues for just $1.99. So we think that we're extremely price sensitive to everybody. You can pay via PayPal or you can pay via a credit card. We don't take like chicken or any sort of odd payment method. We just Bitcoin. We just take credit card or PayPal. So we're probably limited in that scope. But that's everything, guys. I want to thank Whyt Manga Adunze Agogo again for joining us. He is truly a nice guy, and we're really proud to have him as part of the team. I'm proud to work directly with him. He's young. He's incredibly talented. I'm so old that I'm actually past the point of envy now. I just look at him like, man. But we've got a really great team, as he indicated. Whyt, any last words you want to say to everybody?
Thanks for the support. I'll continue to do my best, and for those of you who want to be creators, keep going at it and keep trying to improve. Keep doing research. As some people will say, also cliche, never give up.
Whyt, how else can they find you again? Can you give them some more links?
You can find me on YouTube. Also, first of all, for those of you who haven't subscribed to this Saturday AM YouTube, you should, because more stuff are coming on there. But you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/WhytMangaTV. Find me on DeviantArt as Odunze, Odunze. You find me on Twitter as Whyt Manga. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Whyt Manga. You find me on Instagram as Whyt Manga. If you're looking for me anywhere, you find me as Whyt Manga, except DeviantArt and YouTube. It's Whyt Manga TV for YouTube and Odunze on DeviantArt.
If you look up,
there's a Whyt Manga group called Whyt Manga.
There's also a social network called Recently Arrested Whyt Manga. It's just fun. So Whyt, like I said, he's a great member of the team. You guys have been fantastic. Some of the best questions I've seen asked to Whyt, and I apologize for us not having more time. But again, we're still working out a lot of details. You can see, we're literally in my room, but we're going to continue to my office. I mean, we're going to continue to build stuff, both technically and resource-wise, so that we can provide even better, cleaner, more sophisticated-looking stuff. But without a doubt, one thing that is not in need of sophistication is our magazine. That is absolutely one hell of a product, and it's something that we're proud of every single issue. So we have no competitors there that we're worried about. And so if you support us there, the rest will follow. So thanks again for supporting us. Thanks again for showing up to this Q&A. Next week's Q&A, in fact, Whyt, do you have that in front of you? Because I don't have the list in front of me.
It is next week's Q&A is it? Yeah, I have it in front of me. Give me a second.
Okay, I'm about to say I think I have it too here, guys. That's again how awesome we are, is that we have just like that. But next
we have to scratch around.
Yeah, next week's Q&A is Wally Wynn, creator of Comatose, and this is going to be a fantastic Q&A. Wally is also one of the partners of my footprint, the creator of one of our most mature and just really kind of unique independent comic. It's got hints of manga, hints of Western books like Vertigo or Image. So if you are a fan of just amazing storytelling, fantastic artistic capabilities, Wally works in fantastic crosshatch. His style shifts based off of the storyline he's telling. Then I highly recommend you check out both his comic, Comatose, as well as the next episode of Saturday Q&A, which will be next Saturday at 9 p.m. EST. Likewise, Wally's Comatose will grace the cover of issue 12 of Saturday AM, which will also feature the next chapters of many of our great manga, including Comatose, as well as Catharos, which will have a double chapter since it was not in issue 11. So you can't miss it. $1.99 for the single issue, or $5 for the full subscription. And now, feel free to check out gumroad.com. That's G-U-M, road.com/Saturday AM/. There you will find on that particular digital storefront some prints from Whyt Manga. More will be appearing throughout the night for really low prices. Everything as low as $5, but you'll have to pay shipping and handling, of course, on top of that. You'll be able to get some prints of Whyt's that you've not seen anywhere. We're extremely proud to have this. Also, you'll see some prints from Mikhail Dingle still up as well. And again, supporting those prints, buying the prints, means you're supporting Whyt Manga directly. Likewise, there'll be T-shirts as well. You can get the Apple Black T-shirt today on our website. Just go to SaturdayAM.com/shop, Saturday-AM.com/apparel, actually, / and you'll find some T-shirts there for Whyt. So thanks again, everybody, for attending, and we look forward to seeing you next week, and look forward to giving you more information soon about Saturday Wars. Thanks. Again, my name is Frederick Jones. Thanks for attending.
Adios.
Peace out.